Hey, Facebook, welcome to the Twin Cities Real Estate Show. We're going to be today talking about the reality of working in extreme market conditions, both as what to expect as a buyer, the reality of what really to expect, not just stories that a friend or a neighbor or a newspaper put out there, but what is the real data behind it. And then same for buyers out there as to how to best prepare yourself for a market like we're currently in. And then stick around for the after show, as always. And then if you have any questions, you can type them in the comments questions box there. We'll try to either hit them up on the break, get to them, or in the after show. So make sure if you have those questions, reach out. Are you ready?
Yes. Let's
All
go.
right, let's do this. Are you thinking of buying or selling a house? Or do you just want to know what might be going on with one of your biggest investments? Then come hang out with us for a while. Hi, I'm Kirk Duckwall, and welcome to the Twin Cities Real Estate Show, sponsored by Bricks Real Estate, Network Title, Eric Bloomstrand, and Chad Preby with Bell Bank Mortgage, along with James Tolson with Country Financial. If you have any questions for us, make sure you give us a call at 651-303-0019. Again, 651-303-0019. Happy to help answer any of your real estate questions or assist with your real estate needs. You can also check us out online anytime at brickstwincities.com. There, not only will you find the latest and greatest home searching and researching tools, but a whole list of our great free publications. The Smart Seller Book, the Smart Home Buyer Book, and the new Resilience Bricks Report. That's just out. Check that out. A lot of great information in all three of those publications. Again, that's at brickstwincities.com. Also, follow us on our Facebook page. Just type in Bricks Real Estate or Bricks Twin Cities, and you should be able to find us there. You can watch us record live most Tuesdays around noon. Also, see upcoming events and a whole bunch of other great stuff there. Today, we are going to be talking about the reality of working in extreme real estate market conditions as a buyer or a seller, being out there, being on the market, or working in a market like this as a buyer, trying to navigate your way through it. So it's tough. And what makes it worse is the misnomers that are out there. I'd like to welcome Chad Preby, who's in studio, joining me today.
Thanks, Kirk.
So, yeah, I mean, you see it right along with me.
I do. Yes.
And, the thing is I always will resort back to data. I will look at what does the math, what does the numbers say, what's actually going on out there.
Reality.
The reality.
Yeah.
Right? And we can bring that around to assist buyers and sellers. If you want to be on top of, the reality of the market and really dive in, if you do go to our Facebook page, we put out this Mastermind the Market, which is put together right after we do a brokerage collaboration with a whole bunch of agents talking about not only the data, but what people are experiencing on the ground. And so you can know what to expect right there right now out in the marketplace.
Right.
Because there are, agents that are willing to take advantage of markets like this, both in not a good way for sellers and not a good way for buyers, to push them. But also, media outlets.
Right.
Article came out this last week talking about a listing that had 177 showings and 50 some offers out there. Okay, yeah, that does happen.
It does. Yep.
It does, but it's not necessarily what's happening everywhere. If that was the case, how did I get a home for a buyer for $20,000 under list price if that's happening everywhere? Now, again, my story about the under list price, that's also not the reality, right?
Yeah.
There's extremes, and the question is, what do we choose to focus on? So with this show, I wanted to kind of get into that reality. So, yeah, I mentioned the 170 some showings, 50 some offers. Those are outliers out there. They do exist. But if we look at the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, 200 to 400K price range, the average number of showings per listing is, I think it was like at 8.49.
Wow.
Okay. Now, you're going to have some that get a couple showings and accept an offer right away. You're going to get some that get, 50 showings. You're going to get some that get 20. It's an average.
Right.
But the average isn't 170 something. The question is how long has the property been on the market? What's the value there?
The value.
We'll talk about that too.
Well, how stressful can that be as a seller or even the listing agent? If you have 50 offers on the table and you have someone that's representing you that's all about the dollar sign, that might not be the best offer.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I'm all for going a little low on the list price to drive offers to get them, basically hedging against each other in a sense and to bring that price up.
Right.
And so it is a commonplace to see offers that are 5, 10, 15, 20, and 25K over.
Okay.
That's in that range, depending on the price point.
Right.
That's common. We've heard about ones that are 20% over list price.
Yes.
That's not common.
Yeah.
Right.
I've been seeing that on the lending side quite a bit, and I get a little concerned at that point about the appraisal.
It creates problems in the sense that appraisers sometimes will look at that list price and make an assumption that the agent made an assessment of value on that property, and then you see it sell for $65,000 over asking. This is where we're seeing agents adjusting the sale price after they accept an offer.
Yeah.
So that can work, but it's not always the case. And so low appraisals is definitely a concern, and as sellers out there, you need to make sure that you're not just accepting the highest offer, but truly the best offer.
Good point.
Right?
Yep.
And so the reality is the highest offers may not appraise, which therefore means they may not be the best offer. Now, sometimes they are, right? If the high, if somebody is if you think the value is around 310 and you have another offer that's at 310 but no appraisal guarantee or an appraisal guarantee, but then you get somebody who comes in at 325 with no appraisal guarantee, well, maybe it's worth the risk, right? Because if it's probably going to come in at 310 or in between, that may be worth it.
Correct.
But every offer you need to talk through with your agent.
Right. And you and I are briefly talking too. I mean, I've seen a couple appraisals come in $5,000 shy or $5,000 low. In my eyes, the seller and the buyer should be willing to negotiate, right? Let's meet halfway. Are we gonna lose out on a transaction over $5,000? Because if that appraiser, these appraisers are working hard. They're trying to get the most value as possible, right?
Yeah.
And if they're $5,000 short, it's for a reason, and I think that's not a reason to walk away from the transaction. I think that's a good way to negotiate and meet maybe halfway with that buyer or seller.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is if you bail on an appraisal, well, then another appraisal is going to happen, and then is that other appraisal? Did they give an appraisal guarantee? What's their percentage of down payment? Are they doing an inspection? Do you have to go through an inspection again? What's it going to be like when you have to go back to them and say it didn't appraise? Are they going to feel differently about it? Or if that question comes up, so. Again, it may be worth working it out between the buyer and the seller and the agents, figuring out something to get it to come together.
Exactly. Yep.
The reality too is, you'll hear about somebody who gets we accepted an offer and they waive the inspection. That does happen,
right? And
that's great when that happens, but that doesn't always happen.
It's not a reality most of the time.
If your agent is doing what I would say a good job out there, you should be getting that 15 to 25, 30, 50 showing range. Again, depends on price point. I know I'm throwing a lot of numbers out there, but each sector, each price point, it's going to get different. And your agent should be talking to you about what's normal. There's ways to look up what is the normal showing rate for your price range, your area, and all of that.
Yeah.
So, they should be talking about all of that. But, the normal is, I know for the last 3 listings I've had, between 18 and about 30, 35 showings, right? In the weekend. And I've been getting between, 3 to 5, 7 offers, somewhere in there. You don't need to get 50 offers to necessarily get the highest offer. Again, if you get 50 offers, the question may come in, was that house extremely underpriced?
Right.
Is it going to run into appraisal issues? What can of worms have been opened by that?
Yeah, exactly.
So it may be better to narrow it to your best offers, truly the best offers, than just a ton that isn't going to work and it was way low to begin with.
Right.
So
yeah, I get a little nervous too for certain people in this market that are looking at 30, 40 houses and becoming confused.
Yeah.
And
real quick, before we go to commercial break, if you do get an offer and there is an inspection and something does come up, it may be worth a few extra nickels if they offered a whole lot of dimes more. People say, I don't want to get nickeled and dimed, right? To replace a water heater when they paid 10 grand over asking, it might be worth it. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. All right, ready?
Yes, sir.
You're listening to the Twin Cities Real Estate Show on AM 950. Today, we're talking about the reality of being out in an extreme market conditions as a buyer or a seller, even as an agent. What is the more normal experiences that people are seeing? There's a lot of stuff in the news about, again, what we talked about, the extreme side of it.
Right.
But, if somebody prices a house 65 under asking, of course they're going to get a ton of, or 65 under what it probably should sell for. Of course they're going to get a ton of activity because you're getting buyers in way lower price points coming to look at it, thinking they have a shot. The problem is running, you run into this mental block of a buyer going, I'm offering 60,000 over asking. This is where you see really high back out ratios because of cold feet. Did they make a rash decision? So underpricing can cause a big influx in that cold feet ratio.
Yeah.
And so that's something as a seller to be aware of. Make sure your agent, there's 2 types of list prices. There's list price that's a mistake, and there's list price that's a strategy.
Right.
And you want to talk through that strategy and really what your agent's expecting. A normal spread 25K in this market, that's normal. But if your agent's talking about, we're going to get 50K more, 60K more, whatever, 70. Again, it depends on price point. You got to talk about each one with your agent individually. You want to really talk through that decision, because is that going to create a lot more buyers that are getting cold feet out there?
Okay.
Now, as buyers, you can take advantage of this.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't want to be the number one offer. Maybe you want to be the strong backup offer.
There you go.
In a market like this.
Yeah. Well, because you and I talked about this briefly, there's a pretty big percentage of people that wake up the next day after making an offer and they get cold feet.
Yeah, 20, 25%.
That's huge.
Yes.
So if you're coming in with that solid, putting your best foot forward right away, you could be that backup offer, right?
Yep.
25% is a huge number.
Yeah, so basically if you're out there and you throw out 5 offers and they're all backup offers, you have a chance. Now, it depends on how many other good backup offers there are.
Right.
You know, in these scenarios where there's 15, 20, 25 offers, you know, it can be tough. But, you know, when we talk about the normal being 3 to 5, hey, maybe there is
Chances are pretty
that
good.
opportunity.
Yeah.
And so for a buyer, don't feel discouraged like, oh, is it even worth us writing? If you like the house enough, hey, maybe you don't get it initially, but then it comes back around.
Right. Yes. Good
You know,
point.
so,
that's a great point.
Yeah, I mean, just be in that spot can be great. So for buyers, the reality out there right now is the market is so tight in inventory. You don't want to be looking at the wrong homes while the right homes are selling.
Right.
So you really want to do that home buyer priority checklist. And actually for sellers talking about the market, do the home seller priority checklist, because are you really ready for markets like it is right now? And talking through that again, both of those checklists, Bricks Twin Cities, under publications, they're in the Smart Home Buyer or Smart Seller Guide as to getting yourself ready, the things to think about.
That information, I was poking around on the Bricks website, and or actually I think it was on your Facebook page, and noticed that Danny had a really good presentation on one of the books.
Yeah.
I think it was a Smart Seller, if I remember right.
Was that the one where we were talking about styles and stuff?
I believe so, yeah. But
Okay.
I was just, I'm thinking, wow, this is a lot of valuable information for free, right? And this is coming from very experienced agents, right? So it's out there at no cost, right at your fingertips. I highly recommend checking out the Facebook and Bricks page to...
You know, there's a guy I can thank for my philosophy in this. I've been listening to him for quite a few years. I'm kind of a space geek.
Yeah.
And so it's Fraser Kane, and he does these podcasts, a whole bunch of them. But he always says, I'm going to put the information out there. If somebody decides to steal it, great. Do a better job than I'm doing, and you're going to earn your place in the market and show your knowledge. Do it.
Yeah.
Right? Not out there to profit off of every last thing. The content's the content. Learn, make yourself a better person.
I like that. Yeah, no,
So,
that's really cool.
And I think that's really key to especially people who aren't in the marketplace every day, buyers who don't do aren't out there all the time, and sellers who aren't selling real estate every year.
Right.
To have your pulse on that market really makes it so you can leverage that information.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
as buyers, though, make sure you're doing that priority checklist. That will help you narrow down to what's really, really, really important, what I talk about. If you don't want to be on a busy road or a corner lot or next to industrial or in a certain city or in a certain school district, you need to think about those things. You need to prioritize them, because every house that you look at that has those objections is a waste of your time.
Yeah.
100%. And you are missing out on the ones that are worth your time.
Yes.
So
good point.
doing that, it saves you time. It saves you frustration.
Don't you call that the fight starter?
The fight starter. Yeah. It's not just a fight with yourself. It's a fight with your significant other if you have one, because not only do you have to come to agreement what your order of priority is you and your spouse or significant other have to be on the same page. Otherwise, again, you're wasting your time.
Yeah. Nothing worse than figuring out maybe a year down the road after purchasing a home that you don't like your house for certain reasons, but if you would have filled out the priority checklist and realized, with a couple things, conversations with your spouse or significant other, you might have made a different decision.
Well, houses are really no different in a lot of respects than to shopping for a car. And if I went with my wife to go check out a minivan and I was just test driving Corvettes all day, she would get pissed. Well, she doesn't like Corvettes. If I was
believe
test
she
driving,
would, yes.
yeah, if I was test driving my Mustang, she might like it a little better, but she'd still be mad at me, right?
Right.
And the reason being is, I might find it fun, but it's not what we're really looking for.
Yeah.
So if you, as the guy, are looking, or whoever mechanic, want that 3-car garage, right? But your significant other wants something else that house doesn't have, and you're going to look at it just because of the 3-car garage. It's no different than testing that Corvette.
Right.
You got to make sure the house meets both your priorities.
Yes.
Otherwise, it is a waste of your time.
Yes.
So, and it's a lot more fun to go look at houses when you pick 4 or 5 of them, to find 3 or 4 that you like and are excited about and debating which one to actually make an offer on, versus looking at 10 and everyone's an argument.
Mm-hmm.
So
right.
that's a huge one in battling a market like this. Be careful too in a market right now of falling in love with it, especially online, and then again, walking around and imagining every last aspect of this becoming your home, because at the end of the day, 3 to 5 offers, maybe more.
Right.
You're going to make a few offers before you might get one.
Exactly.
So you just want to make sure you're being smart. Kind of in the last piece here, biggest thing, make sure you and your agent are verifying value.
Yes.
Not just as a seller, that's really important in coming up with that listing price strategy, but as a buyer. Again, list price is either a strategy or a mistake. A small percentage of homes, especially in a market that's moving at this speed, sell for list price. They either sell for above or sell for below. I believe that currently the average is above list price
at this point.
But you really want to make sure that you're verifying that value, because if I would have, with my client this last weekend, made an offer at list price, I would have left $20,000 on the table, because when we looked at value, it wasn't list price. It was at least $20K under.
Wow.
So
good job.
Taking that time is important, even in a market like this.
Right.
So, that's the reality of it. Acting fast can be beneficial unless they've already set an offer deadline time and you're pretty confident they're going to stick with it. Then figuring out how many offers there may be on the table before putting together your final price could be worth it. Again, all depending on that value.
Right.
Hopefully you found this information helpful. As always, check us out online, brickstwincities.com, 651-303-0019. Have a great week. Oh, I know I got a couple here that we didn't get to.
Good stuff.
Yeah, booking showings as a buyer out there.
That's a big
one. As soon as you see it come on the market, there should be kind of like 2 days. 2 days that you're really looking hard. Mondays, looking for those Monday houses. Hey, it didn't make it through the weekend.
Right.
There isn't a highest and best involved. I'm calling up the agent. Let's see if they have anything, and booking those Monday houses for that evening or the next day.
It made it through the weekend for a reason, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, and that's to identify those homes that maybe were priced high.
Yep.
Man, I love those, because
Yeah.
now I hold all the cards. Right. I'm not dealing with those other offers, guessing what might be happening.
Yep.
It's really, you're in control there.
Strategery.
Strategery.
I want to throw something in there real quick, guys, for you guys that are still watching on Facebook. I've been talking to my clients a lot on the lending side about different price points, right? So, what's the difference if I go up $5,000, or what's the difference if I go up $10,000 in offer price? What does that look like with my payment, or what does lender paid closing costs look like if I can take a little bit higher of a rate to offset some of my closing costs? Maybe I have a little more flexibility with offer price. So, in this market, talk to your lender. Make sure you know all of your options. Rates are going up just a little bit, but don't let that worry you. Rates are still amazing, you guys, but make sure you're communicating with your loan officer on all the different loan options out there, because you want to be competitive. You want to be different than the other offer. and there's ways to do that. So just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, all of putting together that offer, the right loan for you, and what looks good to give you the best chance makes a huge difference.
Yeah. I had a specific client where they were set on a certain budget, right? And they were stuck at that. We can't go over that by a penny. And just having the conversation with me, I made them comfortable with going over that budget just a little bit. Not that it was, hundreds of dollars over that budget, but it got them to that next level and price point where they got an offer accepted, right? And it allowed them to do something they didn't realize they could do. So it's just, for me, that's fun because,
something that, sorry, my computer's not liking me right now. Something that Danny mentioned that I hadn't really put a lot of thought into, but it definitely makes sense is, these houses that are selling for $25K more is that new price range, right? So if you have a buyer who's looking in $300,000, but everything they look at sells for $325,000, then you should be looking at $275,000.
Correct.
So budget the $275,000 home is the $300K home.
Right.
Right. So just a way to work your search a little bit.
Yeah.
So that way you're not overshooting.
Yeah.
Right?
God, I'm glad you said that. That's so important.
Yeah. I think he hit the nail on the head with that. So
right. That's what I'm talking to someone. Okay, your max qualification is $300,000. In this market, you probably want to be looking at $275,000, knowing that you're going to go above and beyond with your offer price.
Right.
You're setting people up for success that way.
And again, don't worry about overpaying. If that's a word I hear a lot. If your agent and you are doing their due diligence, you're going to know the value of that home.
Yes.
Right? You'll see it.
So important.
The numbers aren't going to lie to you.
Right.
It's when your agents are like, well, what do you want to pay for it without talking through value first?
That's a little uncertainty.
There's the don't get me wrong, there's a gray area of well, what's it worth to you? But you have the right to know what does the market show is kind of the appropriate range.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
A house isn't worth a set price. We know that statistically, somebody goes to a house on a rainy day after sitting in traffic, they don't want to offer as much as somebody who drives there not stuck in traffic on a sunny day. It's just they're going to offer more.
Correct.
Right.
Yep.
So mindset makes a huge difference. So figuring out what's that home really worth, and then what's that home worth to you, and the best thing that can happen if you lose out on a home is you go, well, we did the best we could on that.
Right.
One.
We put our best foot forward.
The worst is we should have.
Yeah.
If you're trying to save $500, usually that's not the right answer.
No.
Unless that's really your best foot forward
and
what you really wanted to do, and be confident with that.
Yeah, the woulda, coulda, shouldas. Those haunt you sometimes.
Book your showings right away. If you see them come on into coming soon, that's a must. Get your time slot reserved, because a lot of these homes, limited availability, not all of them, but some of them, limited availability. So lock in your time slot for your showing as soon as you see the property come. Don't worry about going and doing a drive-by. Just do the Google Street View. That'll save you some time.
Just get right in there.
Just get the showing booked. You can always go back if something changes and cancel it. Otherwise, go back to those Monday houses. Those are my favorite.
I love that.
Let's see. Do I have anything else? Offer fast, offer strong. If you go see it and you like it, again, put a appropriate offer forward for that value, that assessment, and do it quickly.
Yes.
Don't ponder on it for too long, unless, of course, as I mentioned, it's for strategy of figuring out how many offers are coming in, because they set a highest and best deadline. So
correct.
Every home individual. I know one of the fun things with the offer I got accepted this weekend was the client goes, wow, this is such a different offer than our 2 previous offers. You know, the other ones were 10, 15K over and really, you know, putting inspection guarantees and appraisal guarantees and all that in there. And that was appropriate for that house. But then going into another and not having that, you know, really just a very clean, very buyer friendly, strong offer in a sense, right?
More of a traditional offer.
Yes. And so that's the key to making sure you're analyzing every house individually. So
good stuff, Kirk.
that's all I got.
Yeah.
You got anything else?
No, I thought it was a great show.
All right. Facebook. Have a great one.
Have
See
a
you
good
next
week, guys. Thank you.